I'm Mike,
I'm Matt.
I'm Carlton.
and this is The Coin Show. Today on The Coin Show etiquette, what to do and what not to do in a coin show. Also, the national parks have released their second quarter. Carlton went to the Yellowstone quarter release, and he will bring us a full report. But first, stand by for news. Guys, in the news this week, PCGS is suing dealers over doctored coins. They are alleging that certain dealers have resubmitted coins over the years after having had them in one state and had them in another state, so they are alleging that they've doctored the coins. Your dealer, Matt, what is your first impression on this?
This is crazy. There's been a lot of rumblings in the dealer community, I think, over the past 2 years or so about Dr. Coins, the lasering of proof gold. I mean, this is some really high tech stuff that these guys were doing, and it's not just artificially toning or cleaning a coin. These guys were actually adding metal to coins to give them the appearance of something they were not, which, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much counterfeiting. If you counterfeit a 90, if you turn one of the coins was an 18S dime that they added full bands to, if you turn a $500 coin into a $90,000 coin, that's counterfeiting. So these guys, obviously they're guilty until proven, or I'm sorry, the other way around. They're innocent until proven guilty, but, man, it's going to be really interesting to watch how this develops.
Well, you said something lasering proofs, and you'll have to explain that to me, because, God, I've never heard of it before. But were they, taking metal and filling in, like bag marks and things like that in order to give the coins an appearance of a higher grade, or was it, taking a damaged coin and maybe filling in a scratch, or...
I really wish they would give us a little bit more information. From what I can gather, they were taking coins that were, just average struck coins, like Standing Liberty quarters is a good example, and they were adding extra metal and then cutting it to make it appear that the coin had a full head when they sent it into the company to be graded. And then apparently over time, these fixes, they deteriorated in the holder, no longer have a full head.
And PCGS was having to buy the coins back because they were being put in under the guarantee. One of the Coin World has a great article about it this week, and one of the things that they mentioned specific coins that it's been done to, and they mentioned a 26D Standing Liberty quarter with Liberty's head artificially enhanced. So I guess that's exactly what you're talking about, where they were adding metal to it to give it a full head, which is a huge difference in price.
Oh yeah, and they were adding metal to mercury dimes and cutting full bands in dimes, and what some of the stuff they were doing was high tech. They were lasering proofs, which I'm not quite sure how the technology works, but apparently they were just using a laser to hide hairlines on proof gold and then submitting it. I don't know if it was burning the hairlines off or what it was doing, but I'm just not sure. I don't quite understand the technology, but whatever they were doing, it was altering the coin in a way to make it appear something that it was not.
Yeah, Coin World lists the 1918 winged Liberty head dime with crossbands on reverse rebuilt. So I guess they're doing some rehab projects on some of these. I wonder what they'd do to a Jefferson nickel if they could completely rebuild the portico.
But I don't know. It's unprecedented in this business for grading service to go after people like this in such a way. It's never happened before. This is going to be a precedent-setting thing on behalf of this company, and I really hope it goes well for PCGS. I really hope it goes well, because if it doesn't go well for PCGS...
Well, if it doesn't go well for PCGS, the average collector, who really is no good at counterfeit detection, who is not going to be expert enough to evaluate some of these high-end coins, is going to basically be left out in the cold as they were, many years ago. And unfortunately, it kind of gets back to what I always say, that people really need to read, and learn about these coins.
I agree with that completely. There are some big names that they've already named, which to me, I mean, I know it's public record, but gee whiz. I mean, I can just imagine how I would feel if I was one of those guys. Whether I was doing it or not, I would be kind of upset if my name showed up in Coin World an alleged coin doctor.
Well, and they're going after him under RICO too, which
Yeah.
is the it's basically what they go after organized crime, with racketeering activity.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
Carlton?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The only thing that I'd have to say about this is, like, I mean, what hope does the average collector have here when, like you were saying, that people need to read about these series and different things like that? Well, I mean, these fixes are so good, so high tech, apparently, that they're slipping past, the graders there.
And it is only over time that this stuff is coming to light.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and this is high level. I mean, these aren't just average Joes and little hillbillies. These are guys that have been in the business for years. One of the guys named in the suit is actually one of the co-founders of PCGS. So obviously there's been some love lost there. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly how this goes and what kind of precedents this sets in the business.
Yeah, because precedent-wise, the lawsuit basically wants to establish coin doctoring as a federal crime. And that can have some huge implications. I mean, then it becomes, okay, well, what is doctoring? And, I guess, plays more into intent. Was the intent to defraud people, or does the guy who carves the hobo nickels, is he okay?
Yeah.
Well, I've seen stranger things.
That's true. That's true.
Physically moving surface metal to hide marks, I guess.
I wonder if some of this new technology that they've been debuting lately isn't responsible for catching some of this stuff. What do they call it? The PCGS coin sniffer, the new technology they have out.
Sniffer.
That's what they call it, man. I don't know.
Sounds like a giant bloodhound.
Well, but yeah, it's supposed to detect foreign material on coins, and maybe this new lasering thing has something to do with it. Maybe their new technology that they've come up with has had something to do with discovering these coins.
What I think, and Carlton and I were talking about this earlier, was it's very possible that they've been kind of fingerprinting coins for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been watching patterns over time. And now that they kind of collected the evidence that they want, now it's okay to go ahead and bring it out public and use it. Whereas over time, they may have collected a sample of evidence by using this technology that really will kind of nail some people down as far as, here's a coin. But the interesting part about it also is that, okay, you really can identify a coin, and can you identify it again when it comes back through the next time? Well, then, if that's the case, computerized grading really is right around the corner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. It's a lot to think about. I mean, there's a lot. It's breaking fast at this point, and I think everything is. I think the technology is starting to come of age. I mean, there really hasn't been a whole heck of a lot that's happened in the grading world in the last 20 to 25 years. After, coins, after they started encapsulating coins and putting grades and certification on them, there really wasn't much that happened. I mean, it's been, besides a few little, designations here and there really ain't much that's happened. So I think that this new technology may be starting to show why it's useful.
It would be really good if it was useful for stuff like that.
Wow, I think so too. I agree.
So, Carlton, I understand that you went to a coin show this week.
About a month ago now. But, yeah, I went to my first coin show.
Well, tell us your experience.
It was really exciting. So I took the day off. I went down there on the first day. It was a Friday. Got down there. I planned it ahead so that I would get there a little bit early. But got in there, paid my entrance fee. Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
Wow, how much did they charge you to go in?
It was $3 to get into this one, and then they also gave away a free quarter of the new Hot Springs quarter for you while you were there. So it was like $2.75 effectively.
Sweet. P or a D.
P, I think. No, D. Because, yeah, well, I mean, the Denver Mint's right there, so. Yeah, so I had a pretty good time. I only stayed for about 3 hours, I think, 3 or 4 hours. The biggest thing that I think, though, is that I didn't make a lot of purchases. I mostly just bought bargain bin type stuff, sorted through some world coins and different things like that, but it was a good time. The one thing that I would say that everybody always says that on any time people ask about going to their first coin show and I didn't listen is make a list of what you want to get. Because I showed up there and was like, oh my god, there's so much stuff. I want one of those and I want one of those, but I'm not sure what grade I want to get that in. And I ended up being completely indecisive on any of that high-end stuff.
You know what I like, though? I like the fact that you went and you didn't buy a whole mess of stuff.
Oh.
It's okay to just go and look. Just go have a good time.
Yeah.
Look at the different stuff that's there. It's for a lot of people, it's the first chance that you're going to get to see certain types of coins.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely crazy, and didn't really, like I said, I didn't really get into a lot of the high-end stuff. Mostly just kind of looked at the different tables, then was digging through the bargain bins and different things like that, and I picked up a few different coins, picked up a couple different reference books that they had there that I hadn't seen up here, so...
Well, I was just going to say, since we were talking about coins and stuff like that, and we happen to have a resident dealer, Matt, why don't you tell us about, some of the do's, some of the don'ts, some of the etiquette things that are involved in going to coin shows?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was just going to ask that, actually. Is the reason that you didn't buy more coins because you didn't talk to the dealers, because you didn't know how to interact with them, or they just didn't have what you were looking for?
Well, I think it's kind of a little bit of both of that. Like I said, I didn't really have an idea of anything that I really wanted. Like I had planned out, based on my budget, that I would have around $300. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll spend like $50 or $100 on a piece of currency or two, and then like spend the rest on high-end coin for like my typeset. But I wasn't like, oh, I want a Buffalo nickel or something like that in this grade or anything like that. So I just kind of
like the specific coins. I'm looking for these just two specific coins. I can't find them on Teletrade. I can't find them in Heritage. And it's hard because you go to show after show after show and nobody's even got one. It's just ugly.
Well, sure. Let me get back to the etiquette thing. The one thing that I always notice about new people when they go to a show is that they do exactly that. Sometimes they almost seem timid and they don't want to interact with the dealer because they might be nervous, or they might think that they're going to show that they're a novice. And you know what? Honestly, I would rather know that this is your first coin show when you walk up to the table, just because I personally like to teach people. I like to say, here, this is my card. If you have any questions, call me. But but that's just how I do it. And a lot of dealers are different. But the etiquette, I think, at a coin show is pretty much the same etiquette that you're going to get anywhere else.
Be polite.
Yeah, exactly. Be polite. Don't interrupt.
Share.
Share.
Then forget about me at a coin show. It's never going to work.
Don't interrupt. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry, man. We'll go to my coin.
But I see a lot of people at shows, and sometimes this really gets under my skin. If they're kind of nosy sometimes, almost. When I'm sitting there talking to either a customer or another dealer, you'll get people that just come over and stand there and just listen to what you're saying. And it doesn't matter if they're harmless or if they're... We had one time I had a customer I was talking to about a coin, and he showed it to me, and I made him an offer. And the guy standing there at my table just says, here, let me take a look at it. And he was another customer of the show, and he made him an offer right there at my table. That's a no-no. We pay for those tables. We pay to be at that show. And that gives us the exclusive right at our table to buy and sell coins to whoever we choose.
You know what the dealer I work for at the show will do is he'll sit there and he'll wait for the guy to make the transaction and finalize the deal, and then he'll ask him for money for the
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. We had, and sometimes people do that in the coin shop too. I'll be with a customer buying a coin collection, and I'll be, for this coin I'll give you $6, and for this coin it'll be $45. And we had a guy one time that sat there and offered him $5 more for the coins I was offering him right in the middle of the coin shop.
Did you throw them out?
Oh, well, of course.
Excuse me, you beat it.
I told him, I said, look, man, if you want to pay the rent here for this month, then you can buy all the coins you want. But until you do,
You'll even put his name outside, won't you?
yeah, I'll write your name on the window. But until you do, you're not allowed to buy coins in here from anybody but me. And that's kind of what you run into at shows, too. It's that same kind of mentality is we're there to sell coins. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the hobby. We're going to try to impart our knowledge on you. But at the end of the day, I'm there to sell some coins. And, somebody that tries to come in and kind of and not pay their dues and not pay for a table. And sometimes that can be, the kind of trouble that gets started at shows just by that person, A, maybe not knowing the etiquette, or B, just being a jerk. So you can come off either way, whether you know the etiquette or not. You can either come off as a jerk unintentionally because you don't know what you're doing, or, you might just be a jerk. So... And there's some other things too. I mean, just try not to. One other thing that I see new guys doing sometimes is they'll take coins off the counter if you're looking at some coins, and they'll set them on their lap while they're looking at their list. Don't do that because we always have to deal with the
light-fingered.
Exactly. There you go. That's a good way to put it. Light-fingered folk that decide they want to try to steal from us, which is always a problem at coin shows. So always try to keep the coins that you're looking at that aren't yours up above the counter where we can see where they're at. Most of the time, I don't mind if you look at anything in my case.
I've got a really good one. Speaking of cases, do not ever reach into a dealer's case.
Oh, yeah. Unless they tell you to, do not. Do not reach in there. And if I know you or I've seen you at a couple coin shows and you want to see something, I'll lift the case up and say, grab it out of there. But until I do that, don't touch my case. I mean, it's... And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that is really basic that needs covered just right offhand. I mean, obviously just the general rules of etiquette, being polite.
How about offering on coins, though? I think that's something
yeah.
are unfamiliar with, or at least don't want to be insulting about it.
Okay, sure. Here's a good example. Say I have a coin that I have marked $45 in the case, and you really want to buy it for $35. I personally have no problem with somebody making a counter offer. The thing that we run into is sometimes people get upset when I don't accept their counter offer. They think that their offer is fair. I might just have paid too much for the coin and don't want to sell it for a loss and try to retail it. I've had a couple of guys get upset with me and actually asked me if their money was no good because, I had a coin show this morning actually, and I had a guy that came and looked at the same note I had in my case 4 times, and I paid $200 for this note. And I quoted him $210. I was trying to make a $10 bill on this note, and he came back time and time and time again, getting more and more upset because I wouldn't sell it for any less than $200. Well, I'm sorry, buddy, but $200 is what I paid for it, and I'm not in business to lose money, so I'm just going to keep it. And it seemed to he got more and more upset, and by the end of the day, I just avoided him, to be honest with you. So, don't get upset if a dealer doesn't take your offer. Just move on down the line and try to find another place to spend your money. It may be that we just paid too much for it.
And conversely, too, when you're selling stuff to dealers, sometimes they're just going to offer you what they can put into it or what they're willing to put into it in order to carry it as inventory. A lot of times they may have 5, 6, 7 of them at the store. Mm-hmm. They don't need another one, but they're going to take it off your hands. So, you might say, well, you're lowballing me. And it's not necessarily the case. It's, what I'm willing to pay for it to have another 5 or 6 of them back at the store that nobody's going to buy for another 4 years.
Yeah, like here's a good example. Right now, I probably have 50 1996 Silver Eagles, which these coins are coming down in price anyways, but not to mention I have 50 of them. And, if somebody walks in and tries to sell me one right now, I can't tell you that I would be much more inclined to pay any more than just spot for it at the moment.
I don't understand why people pay a premium for that particular day.
Well, but just as an example, I have 40 or 50 of them sitting in the case. Why would I want another one? I mean, you run into that too all the time. It's worth a consideration when you're selling your coins that we may have a bunch of them already.
Yes. I don't think people really think about that too much.
Well, and the other thing that I seem to think sometimes is sometimes people think that their coins are unique, whether just because it's their coin. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything rare, but it's their coin, and it's got to be, it's got to be worth something. It's unique. It's a rare coin.
They felt compelled to buy it at some point, so they think that you should feel the same compulsion. It's, I loved it. Don't you love it? it's kind of like the last three 32Ds that walked in the door. It's
Yeah.
okay.
So it's there's a lot to learn about when you go to a coin show about how to act, but most of it is just common sense. Just be nice, be polite, say please and thank you, especially when you're getting a coin out of a case from a dealer. Always say, "Can I please look at that?" and then thank them for getting it out if you don't buy it. It's just pretty simple stuff.
Something else that I wanted to, before we get into the national park quarter explosion that went on in Wyoming this week. I was thinking about what coins have really kind of expanded the hobby in the last 10 years, or the last 20 years. The statehood quarter program kind of revived a hobby that was just dying on the vine.
I was just thinking before that you had the bicentennial coinage that was kind of did the same thing for the hobby in a much lesser way.
Well, yeah, because there were just so few of them, and I think maybe they're going way to the opposite end of it now with doing too many of them. But it was a program that really, really changed things. I was thinking about that the other night, and the Silver Eagle program,
Oh yeah,
believe it or not, has seemed to really resurrect the hobby in the fact of you have these coins that aren't even really coins, and they make them in several different finishes and things like that, and people get them, and you've got, everything from the hucksters selling high-end, graded specimens of them when they all come MS-67 or better from the mint, but it's something that really brought an influx of things to it. And I was wondering what you guys thought. Were there any other coins that you guys would say, really, really made a difference?
I can tell you what did make a difference, and that was the first Spouse gold coins. Those really didn't make a difference. But no, I think you're really hitting on the coins that are making a difference. The state quarters definitely brought a lot of new blood. I call it new blood, but a lot of new faces into the hobby. State quarters, the nickels they didn't really do much for me.
I think they did just too few of them. It was like the Lincoln cents. Lincoln cent was a cool idea, but there were 4 of them and that's it. The nickels, there were 4 of them and that's it. What were the other? Oh, the bicentennials, there were 3 coins. 4 if you count the $2. That's it. But they can also go way off the other end of the spectrum. And okay, now you've got 50 state parks. Do you really think that everybody that collected state quarters is going to collect the new state parks program?
It doesn't matter, even if half of them do. That's the thing. Even if half of the millions and millions and millions of people that this got to start looking at their change, keep looking at their change and buying annual sets from the mint, they're still making a boatload of money. And that's, in the end, what it's all about.
Yeah. See, I like the opportunity to actually collect things from your change, to look at, and now we're getting far enough along into the clad coins that you can actually put together a collection of clad Roosevelts, of clad Washingtons, even clad Kennedys, but something that actually circulates.
Sure. And I think there's some coins in that clad stuff that in the future are going to be worth some money. There's some of the quarters from the early 90s in Unk are hard to find.
Like what?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I don't have my sheets in front of me.
Well, you tease us and then you leave us hanging.
You give me 30 seconds and I will tell you.
Teasing that for the next coin show, folks.
Exactly.
On the next coin show, Matt reveals what quarters will bring you money.
It's going to be a while, but...
See, I think the 82, 83s are all going to do really well because there's no mint sets. Well, there's no mint sets that most people know about.
Yeah.
There's always the mint souvenir sets. And I'm dying to find out which cents the 82 souvenir sets have in them. Are they zinc? Are they copper? Are they large date? Are they small date?
That's a good question. All right, here we go. I got my gray sheets up here.
I can't believe they have 1990s quarters in the gray sheet.
I know, right? They have rolls of them.
Well, that's the roll prices, right? That
Yeah.
you're looking at.
Yep. 94D, that's the one I was thinking of offhand. That's a tough coin to find. And roll bid's $37 on those coins for a $10 roll.
That's almost 4 times face. That's
Yeah.
pretty good for a clad quarter.
For a clad quarter that's, 15 years old, it's not too shabby. Another one's a 1988P. They're bid at $30 a roll. These are just not easy coins to come up with. In singles, the 82p quarter. I mean, obviously that's one that people are going to need. 83p quarters coming out of, I mean, a roll of 83p quarters is bid at $720.
Well, when was the last time you saw any uncirculated ones anyplace? I mean, there's basically bags, and that's it. You know what I think is also going to, how in the 50s people were collecting rolls of cents and
Oh,
all these
yeah.
other coins, and now every single one of those coins is just like absolutely dirt common. It's every place. I think the statehood quarters are going to do the exact same thing. Well, you've got people that are collecting these quarters by the roll, and at some point they're going to start busting up the rolls, and these coins are just going to be everywhere, just a lot like 50D nickels.
Yeah, I agree with that. Here's one, Mike. How about a roll of 86D quarters? Sheet bid is $155. 86D quarters.
86D.
I
But
know.
they got to be uncirculated.
Well, of course, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, think about that. That coin's 20 years old. Well, 25 years old now.
That might be worth going through a few boxes for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Imagine putting together a roll of those at a coin show for 50 cents a piece. You can probably find those in junk boxes.
Oh, wow. See, there you go, kids. There's your tip from the big man. That's why he works in this business. All right, well, let's get on to Carlton. What was it? You went to a launch ceremony. Now, I want to tell anybody before you say anything. I've been to 2 launch ceremonies. I went to the Illinois launch ceremony for the quarter, which was held downtown at the Thompson Center. And it was really, really cool. And I pulled my kids out of school, and I took them down there like a field trip. And they have the coin exchange afterwards, and we managed to walk out of there with 17 rolls of these quarters. And I also went just this last time to the 2010 cent launch down in Springfield, Illinois, where they were a whole lot crazier about how many you could get. But by the same token, awesome time. You learn a lot. What was your experience at the Yellowstone? Where was it? Where did they hold it?
Well, they had originally planned to hold it outside of the, I forget what it is, Yellowstone or something like that. That's the fairly famous large one that's like all done in local woods and things like that.
This is in your home state of Wyoming, right?
Yes. So they were originally planning to hold it out there. It ended up getting just rained out, so they moved it into one of the other buildings. It was pretty awesome, I'll say that. I had also been to the Wyoming state quarter release. This one was a fair amount different, I think. A little bit less fanfare, I think, than what happened with the state release, because state release they had like the governor there and all kinds of stuff. For this one, they only had Ed Moy, of course, director of the Mint.
Who is a genuinely really
He
nice
is.
guy, by the way.
Then they had 2 people from the park there, the superintendent and another person who was doing the master of ceremonies, and then a historian there who had done some research on the national parks. So they did their speeches, and then they did the coin exchange. But the thing that I really wanted to cover in this is that from the first national quarter release, they kind of started doing something a little bit different that I don't think they did for the cents, and for sure not for the state quarters. Is that along with the release of the quarters there, and you can of course exchange your money to get rolls of them, is that you can also get a special cancellation stamp that is only there for that day. And so there are a lot of people now, I guess, who are starting to collect these rolls.
Or sell them on eBay.
Well, sell
That's
them
what I was
on
thinking.
eBay, but I assume that other people who are buying them off of eBay are collecting them.
Good assumption,
or
Carlton.
they just want to say they were there.
Yeah, so they're collecting them by these cancellation dates. So
How many people would you say were there?
a good number. There were a few people there who actually had been at the first park release and were like driving around to all the different releases. So that's kind of crazy.
Okay, now forgive me for a second, but a good
Yeah.
number.
I mean, is 40 a good number in Wyoming?
See, I was kind of going back and forth, but there were so many people, like I said, that they had to move it indoors, and it was a good-sized room, so there were at least like probably 400-ish people in there, and they actually had to stop people from coming in because the security guy there said we had filled it up to capacity and that it was a fire hazard. Yeah, so there was more than enough people there to...
Wow, so you said 400-ish?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get a good count on there, but like I'd say I got in with the first third of people, but then they had like the line for the coin exchange was just like wrapping around the entire building there.
And how many would they let you buy?
You could buy up to 10 rolls, $100 each pass through the line per person. But then you could always turn around, go back, get in line again. The one thing that I would say is for anybody who's planning on going to one of these, don't get in line first thing. They had tons of these quarters here. Like, I went through the line 3 times, and by the time I had gone through the line the 3rd time, it was maybe only like 30 people still in line who were just like the hardcore people with like wagons and hand carts who were just like getting box after box.
That we're selling them to our favorite people who are going to have them on the air next week.
So those guys were pretty hardcore, but they still had tons of boxes from what I could see back there. So,
you know, it must be the higher face value because with the penny launch, they just wouldn't even let you have. I mean, you get 6 rolls. That was it, $3. But I guess they were afraid of people walking up saying, "Give me a box, give me a box, give me a box," because we figured it out. They had 1 million pennies.
How many people do you think were there at the scent launch?
You know, there were nowhere near as many as you'd think, and especially not, you know, 1 million pennies is what, 10,000 rolls? It's 20,000 rolls. You know, I mean, people like me, I mean, just had a box. You know, so I walked out of there with 50 rolls. I know my brother walked out of there with 50 rolls. There were so many people that did that. So, I mean, even if you figure that 20,000, 50 in a box, you know, there couldn't have been more than like 1,500
Just
people
trying to
there.
gauge. I've never actually had the time to go to one of these, being that we're so busy.
Oh, go. Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, I went to I was at one of the coin shows when they unveiled the Ultra High Relief in Baltimore a few years ago. That was cool.
Were you able to buy samples of those?
No, but they had them. They had some of the Treasury Bullion gold bars. They had 6 of them laying there. The big, probably 1,000-ounce bars. They had 6 of those laying there. It was pretty cool.
You buy any of those?
I wish. That'd be nice. Make a good doorstop.
That would make the ultimate doorstop.
That's true. It's like King Tut's doorstop.
well, I was just going to give a couple last hints here. So, number 1 that I would say is don't get in line for the coins right away. There are going to be tons of them. Go find a seat up at the presentation area. I'm not sure that they were going to do seats originally since it was planned to be outside. When we got inside, they had a few rows of seats set up. I would go inside, find a seat, and actually sit and watch the ceremony because there'll be plenty of coins left for you at the end of it. And I ended up getting stuck at the very back of the room. I couldn't get any good pictures. So go ahead and get up front and get a good seat.
Did they have any news personalities running the show, the feature presentation?
They don't have news in Wyoming.
No, they didn't really have any news people. They did do a live webcast, the Mint did, of the ceremony. Aside from that, plan ahead. If you're going to be getting extra rolls to sell on eBay or anything like that, to get the cancellation stamp on there, it has to have at least 44 cents worth of postage. These places, they're doing them at the post office so you can get stamps there, but they might not have particular stamps that you want, so look in your area first before you go there if you want to get something particular.
Maybe you could buy the stamps on the way there, which would not be such a bad idea. You have the stamps as you're making your way to the post office. You stamp the things and just get in line and have them stamp the rolls.
Yeah. Another thing is, especially if you're looking at getting better value for your rolls on eBay, is look for historical things. Like there was one couple there who had bought some of the Old Faithful commemorative stamps that had come out a while ago and put those on there. So look around for different things like that. One thing that I'd say is that there were a lot of people at this one getting autographs on there. If you want to get Ed Moy's autograph, I would suggest that you try and get it right away. He seemed to leave pretty fast after the ceremony, but he did hand out a quarter to each kid under 18 years of age. So if you have family members, you can go ahead and bring them. The other thing that they had there is that they had cornered the superintendent of the park and had her signing autographs. Now, I don't know. I felt kind of mixed on that. I'm not sure if they're going for more on eBay because of this, but
I think that might be more of a it was their thing. You can get String and Sons rolls, and you can never really place them at the ceremony without stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the stamp you can only get at the park, so like that's really the main thing. But I mean, there were people standing up there having this poor lady sign like 400, 500 rolls of these things, and I mean, She probably had other stuff to do that day. It seemed kind of like
She was probably flattered to get the autograph requests.
No, now she thinks we're all crazy coin people.
yeah. So I don't know. Maybe get one or two of them signed if you really want one for yourself. But I think standing up there having them sign all of your boxes of rolls is kind of ridiculous.
Carlton recommends restraint and consideration for the people that are signing your rolls.
Maybe we'll do a segment on etiquette at coin ceremonies now. Don't bug the guys or lady.
Were they selling the 5-ounce rounds there?
They were not, to my knowledge. They did have a few other products that I saw somebody bring out, like it was essentially for the national parks books, like they did with the state quarters. The other thing that I would say, the other tip that I would give is this: is if you can find some way to arrange this, you would make a ton of money on eBay. Is that at these ceremonies? I think at both of them so far, and for sure, like anything in the West, they can only do D quarters there. Apparently, they cannot ship P quarters to these things. So if you can find a way, I was looking at some auctions for the Hot Springs quarters. The P rolls that were stamped for there were going for like over $100. So if you can find some way to like get a friend over in Philly and have him like overnight a whole bunch of P quarters to you or something like that, might be worth it.
Oh, Carlton, that's genius. That's genius.
He's talking about being nice. He's talking about being nice to the lady signing all this stuff, but he cares about the FedEx guy even less.
He's got a haul 30 pounds of quarters.
Yeah, well, and there was another person who had apparently gone up to the mint and gotten the SP1 rolls with the special mint wrap on there and got those canceled too. So,
Wow.
well, it was hilarious because they were like, yeah, we were in Philly, we got these on the release, and then we drove all night just to get down to the ceremony.
Oh, so you're telling me that they drove from Philadelphia to Wyoming?
Well, no, this was for the Hot Springs release, which is in what, like
Philly to Arkansas. That's a whole lot better, isn't it?
Philly to Arkansas to get some coins. Nobody ever said us coin people were sane, but that's ridiculous.
Well, those are my hints and observations from the release.
Excellent report, Carlton. Thank you. For our next show, we are going to do a segment called Ask Us. We ask that what you do is go to the Facebook page or email us any question that you have about coins, coin collecting, coin dealing, anything in the world of coins. We don't necessarily guarantee you our answer will be thorough. We don't guarantee you necessarily that our answers will be correct.
Or that you will like them.
Or that you like them. But we do guarantee that they will be entertaining. Post your questions. We'll answer them next time. I figured it out. Oh my God, I'm so special. And you'll be able to evaluate. I speak English. Are you kidding me? A line is news in Wyoming. And people out there covering the line for the news.
This is the longest line in Wyoming history, Tom.
We have people that are back 50 feet waiting for something. I have no idea what they're waiting for or how long they'll be here.
I think it's oranges.
Back to you. Okay, I think you should have enough crap here to mold into a firm, squishy one for everybody out there.
Squishy one. I'm going to go home and have one of those here in a little while.